joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. I'm here today with South Miami Commissioner Danny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us, Danny.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So we met about a year ago,
Yeah.
prior to you being elected to the City of South Miami Commission. First of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So the big question at hand is, what caused you and why did you run for City of South Miami Commission?
So yes, it's been a year. At that time, I was a no-name candidate. Nobody had any idea of who I was, and a year later, look at where we are now. But one of the reasons that I decided to run ultimately was I was on the planning board, and seeing a lot of the things that were coming in through the city, as far as development is concerned and all that. Being in the construction world for over 20 years. I just felt that my experience was usable and maybe I could be used as a tool if elected for the commission to offer advice and moving forward with the development of the city. Also, I wanted to bring a perspective of the resident. What is something putting myself in the position as a resident, what would I want my government or my government officials to do for me? So that's why I mainly decided to run.
And of course, we all work when you're in that position for the people. And
Yes.
So when you're out knocking on doors, all right, knock, 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 all right, with big smiley face, what did some of the people tell you what they were looking for and what they wanted?
Oh, by far the biggest one was revitalize downtown.
That was the number one thing.
Number one thing.
And for all the years that we've been around, the downtown South Miami has always suffered. It's always been the business fragmented. It was almost always the people down in downtown seemed to always be in opposition to the people in the neighborhood, even though it was far away. It was a question about the Shops of Sunset, and before that it was the Bakery Center. And certainly one of the things that we suffered from is on the weekends where we should have had people coming to our downtown. It looks like you guys found the answer. So tell us about what's probably going to happen in downtown South Miami.
So we have a lot of things going on when it comes, which is now called our SOMI district. So it's no longer downtown or town center. Through the process of Proserbia and doing the whole revitalization of downtown, we came up with the SOMI district. So just
okay.
And so what we have going on now is we started. I think it was my first commission meeting. Was we were passing the zoning text, and in the zoning text, the biggest hurdle at that point was what do we do with Sunset Drive. Knowing this, I sat with the city attorney for...
You'd been on the planning board before that.
Correct.
So you had this working knowledge of that.
Correct. Well, to a point. Yeah. When you get to the commission and you know about the zoning, you get more information, more detail. Mm-hmm. On the planning board, you get more of an overall picture. So coming in, I wanted to get up to speed with everything that was going on, sat with the city attorney for a few hours, and came to the perspective of, helping to pass, which we did at the TDRs, which is helping now.
What's a TDR?
So a TDR is a trans development right. And my reasoning behind it was we have Sunset Drive. We're offering, all the streets behind and all the streets across US 1, all this additional development, but Sunset Drive, we all want to keep it the same. So I didn't find it to be very fair as far as that we weren't giving them anything, yet we were expecting them to modernize with us. So there was no incentives for them. So I felt that by offering them a TDR, a trans development right, so if I may go back, a trans development right, basically if you have a 2-story building, but you're allowed to 4 stories, you can get those additional 2 stories of air rights and sell them to another development that needs bonuses. So it's a way for these property owners to monetize that space that they're not going to use. But that comes at a price. And sitting with the city attorney, as I was saying, I came up with a couple amendments to the legislation biggest one being is that in order to earn that TDR, you have to revitalize and give a facelift to your building, modernize it, whether it's new storefront,
So the
painting.
incentive for them is, hey, listen, you have these air rights, and we're going to work it out so that if you don't want it, you'll be able to offer it to somebody else.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. So it worked out. The commission agreed with the amendments, and we got that through. So now we have new things that are going to be coming into Sunset Drive. I believe the bank building is now going to be working on a new retail building. So we got that going on. The second thing that we have going on in Sunset Drive is we recently had the Placerbia is the company that's doing the new design work for the streetscape. Come May, we should be getting the final design based on what the residents, chose. They found to be the best option.
So there was a lot of input from the homeowners.
Yes, yeah, we did a town meeting at the commission chambers, and residents came out and got to pick of three options, which was their favorite. They went back. Now they're studying and getting the results. They're going to present it to the commission in May. Obviously, little tweaks will go here and there, and then ultimately we will have the final design. The thing was that at that meeting and prior to, I think it was not the last commission meeting, the one before, nobody knew that we were only going up to that point. And it was funny enough because I had met with the designers, again, to get up to speed since I'm, the new commissioner on the dais, getting up to speed and knowing everything that's going on. I asked the question, what are we doing? So what's your timeline after design? When do we go to CDs? This is my world, so I understand, the processes. Yep. And the answer to me was, no, we don't have any authorization to go forward with CDs.
CDs?
Construction drawings.
Okay, good.
So, sorry. And my thing was, well, we can't just get a design and then from there, we spent all this time and all this money. We're not going to go anywhere. I brought it up as an agenda item in the meeting. We discussed it, and good enough to know that we passed the next phase, and we'll go to construction drawings on Sunset Drive.
So here's one of the things that we start to recognize. If they are in the job of bringing people together so often, that is in a delightful shopping mall or a town center, and people like to connect to that. People want to say, hey, we can go down the street and be able to do that. I suspect that is in the works now, and then in a couple of years, we're all going to be able to be proud of that. And tell us about 73rd Street. So if Sunset Drive is 72nd, to the south is 73rd Street. It goes essentially from US 1 to 57th Avenue. Tell us what's going on there.
So 73rd, same thing, same meeting with Placerbia. My question was, what are the design concepts for 73rd? They provided some minor details, but I was like, we need to know. There are developments going on that are currently under construction and will be finishing up pretty soon. We need to have a sense of cohesion between the whole street. How are we moving forward with design and advising them on design? We hadn't gotten to that. So they hadn't been given the authorization to move forward. Again, brought it up in the same agenda item. The mayor discussed it, and we decided and move forward with having Placerbia bring to us a proposal to provide design requirements. So basically, what trees are going to go on the street? How are the sidewalks going to look? What lighting are we going to use?
Well, here's one of the things we recognized when Josh Liebman was on the commission. He had a unique sense about him, and he knew, let's put in more traffic circles, and then as a commission, let's put in new signage. And so all of a sudden, people started feeling a little prouder of South Miami, and to be able to identify it. These things you're talking about, it's like the crown molding in a house.
Yeah,
it's just there, and you go. Sometimes you don't think that it's crown molding, but it's that touch that makes that big difference. So in a couple of years, Deli Lane is moving about 75 feet to the north.
Yep.
Right, and which will be it'll be the same building that's there if I understand it. Is that right?
The same, yeah. It's considered historical, so that it would actually be the baby blue or light blue building and the building next to it.
And then there's going to be a new apartment building that's going to go on the other part of that property.
Correct.
In a couple of years, there are going to be a lot of people walking on 73rd Street and on Sunset Drive. It's really going to be incredible. And we know that South Miami went backwards for many years. But in this case, between the new, I don't know the name of the apartment building across from Casa Cuba.
Avalon.
So they're going to be several hundred people that are going to be living there. And what the city has said is, we want them to stay here. Do your shopping here. Walk down the street. Go to our restaurants. So all that timing seems to be really good and very, very unique. And then let's talk about 600 feet from here, directly east, the county, in cooperation with the city, removed some 65-year-old townhouses and reconstructed them. The people that were in those townhouses had an opportunity to move back in those. It is a beautiful building. It is significant. It's really completely changed what for years was the worst part of South Miami. So we know there's another building that's going up right across the street from there, and that was the rest of those townhouses. So tell us about that.
So that's actually changed. They're actually going in for a new site plan. So the information I'm giving you is kind of hearsay because there's nothing in concrete. What I've heard is that it will now be an 11-story building, and that 4 of the floors is going to be for a high school. So the Somerset SOMI will now have a high school in that building.
No kidding. They're across the street from there now.
Correct.
Right? And that's an elementary or junior high?
That's elementary and middle school.
So they'll be able to go there. And those people took a gigantic chance 10 or 15 years ago, moving into an area that some people are really uncomfortable with. So now they're going to be able to the moms and dads and the kids are going to get accustomed to that. So anyway, so 4 stories for the high school, and the other, and what's going to be in the rest?
So I believe there's going to be residential units there, and in my quick conversation with Related, they were thinking of doing a gym on one of the upper floors, so they can do it. I always forget the charter school that's by the Marlins Park. If you go to their gym has open glass towards downtown Miami. So that's kind of the concept that they want to do, facing east. They want to do kind of glass and have their gym there.
That going to be a public gym? Or a gym for the school?
For the school.
Oh, for the
yeah,
school.
we keep our public gym, which would be, Gibson.
Okay. So people are always concerned about traffic congestion and mobility and all this stuff. So let's address the issue in that area as far as how people are going to get around, and also in downtown with so many more people there and so many more buildings going up.
So that's a great question, actually, because we just February 27th, we are now going with Via and Metro Connect as our, we had Freebie before. I think Freebie used to offer 2 vehicles. Now with Metro Connect and Via, we have 3 vehicles, Teslas, that will be allocated to South Miami alone. But the great part about it is that South Miami and the Dayland District actually overlap each other. So we will be able to use the vehicles for the Dayland District in South Miami. So if you put those together, now you have 8 vehicles that will help transport you from anywhere in South Miami to downtown.
And that service is available for free.
Yes.
And why don't you tell the folks how it gets funded?
The funding comes through I think through us.
Yeah. So that's part of the half-cent sales tax that goes to pay for part of that, and to have that service available, that creates community, and we see that over and over again where they can share in this commonality. What are some of the benefits that the homeowners who pay the bills for all of this? What are some of the benefits they will have for the Shops of Sunset and the other buildings and constructions going on 73rd Street, as well as this very large development over just east of us?
Well, from the perspective of a resident and as a parent, it's one of the things that I look forward to is hopefully in the future, which is what, again, what we're striving for, is our kids, instead of having to go far, and you know how it is with traffic, and as you say, going to South Beach, and the issues with that, and we can have our kids close to home and go out and enjoy themselves, and us as well. I think as a resident for a long time, we've been saying, oh, let's go out to dinner, and walk around, let's go to the Grove, let's go to Coral Gables. The mindset now is, let's change that. Let's go to South Miami. Barbella, for example, is a great location to go, and you can walk around, and you have Kitchen 57, you have Grape Ape that just opened as well. So you're getting people now slowly but surely coming into our SoMe district.
And it takes a while for people to change their mindset. When we go out to dinner, 90% of the time it's either Coral Gables or Coconut Grove.
100%.
And it's just and it's just because that's the habit.
Yep.
Right? And so hopefully that'll change and be able to say, come on over here, let's try some of this.
I 100%. And one of the campaign conversations I used to have with residents is that we have to change the mentality of South Miami being a single transaction location to a more walkable area that you want to go to. Because right now, or for a long time, you had people that would just come, for example, go to Deli Lane, go home.
Yep.
Go to this location and go home. Let's make it so people want to come, park, and then walk around and enjoy the whole.
If we look at Dadeland Mall, you go into Dadeland, you have to walk by the stores in order to go if you're going to eat there.
Correct.
Right? You have to do that. That's part of what it does. And when you're walking, you stick your head in the door and maybe buy something. So another reason people move to South Miami is for the parks and green space. So tell us about that.
That's an important part of our whole agenda for the city. One of the things I come back to our original conversation of the TDRs. The Wirtz family. One of the things that we worked with them.
It's First National Bank of South Miami owners.
Yes, and I guess the United Bank location currently, which is moving.
Yes.
So the owners of that property are also the owners of the ground parking in between what used to be Ceviche Lovers and the Kitchen 57 building. We have worked with them. Okay, we're going to give you this. You're going to start revitalizing your building. And also at the same time, the possibility of getting a park in that location. It would probably be in either behind the bank building or on the northwest side of the parking lot, which is great. Because to have, with all these units coming up, to have green space for people to walk their dogs and walk to is great.
So is there anything that the owners of that property that's the old First National Bank South Miami property, has there anything been publicly stated that they're going to do with that property other than conversation about a park?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Nothing yet.
Well, they've had that property, I think, for 60 years, if I remember right. Yeah. And it's a huge piece of property over there. So another reason people move into cities is for public safety. We have a new police chief, a year or two that's there. And he's quite the gentleman. So tell us about the public safety challenges that city of South Miami has.
Well, just to continue what you were saying, Chief Hatfield he's great. I've spoken to him. He's a good person. He listens. So I'm very happy with our chief and the way he listens to the community as well. I think our challenges are, as always, is keeping our police force fully staffed. We have a lot of the older veterans that are retiring soon. I think this year or next year we're losing 5. So that's always a challenge, is maintaining the police force full. I think another challenge that we have is that by losing a lot of the veterans, we're also getting a lot of new police officers. And it's great because we're doing the whole program where we sponsor them through the academy and then they come through straight to us. So it's kind of like they're embedded with us, and I think that's great. I just think that training is going to be very important because veterans have experience, and there's nothing like experience,
Yes.
In dealing with situations. And I think that we have to somehow figure out a way of passing that knowledge downward.
And that institution knowledge is very, very important because they have it figured out way before the new guy has to learn that. Just like in your business, you have somebody with you for 10 or 15 years, they get it. There doesn't have to be a whole conversation, about that. Haven't called the police recently, but if we ever have a problem, I'm so happy. One time it was 45 seconds, and we had somebody here. I go, how good is that?
Yeah.
All right. And we're very fortunate in our business here, high level of police protection and appearance. We have a hospital right down the street. Actually, we have two that are in the area. And we're pleased with the progress that we see, especially out west of 62nd Avenue. We see there's a lot of construction going back here, as there is near Fuchs Park down the street. Some very big homes have been going in. And lots of times the old people, people who have been here a long time, sort of complain about that. So what is it that you hear them say? Somebody maybe been here for 25 years and they have the house is 50 years old or 40 years old. They say, listen, my next door neighbor just put up a 12,000-foot, two-story house, and now my house is diminished. So what does the conversation look like?
The conversation with that is, and it's understandable when you've been living in this city for so long, and we had very minimal turnover as far as development and construction. For them, and again, I understand where they're coming from, is they feel that the character of the city is being lost. And I agree with them to a certain point, but it also comes to a point where someone's purchasing this property. It's not for government, as long as they're abiding to all the codes and all the zoning, to tell them what they're allowed to do on their property. So it's kind of a difficult conversation to have. But for them, mostly they feel the character of the city is being lost.
So one of the things that we've noticed, when people are really unhappy, they show up at City Hall meetings expressing their displeasure. For the most part, that seems to have been tranquil. When we look at the last 3 or 4 years, it's not like it used to be 10 or 15 years ago where there were groups of people that were fighting everything. Why is there less grief at City Hall today compared to half a dozen years ago?
Ooh, that's a difficult question to answer. Maybe we're doing a better job.
Maybe.
From my perspective, at the end of the day, I've said it as a candidate and I say it as a commissioner. We work for you. So ultimately, for me, my decisions are based on what does the community want, what's best for the community and for the city. So I feel, and I feel honestly that our commission as a whole, including our, and our mayor, all have that same mentality. So I think if we use that as our guiding light, at the end of the day, the grand majority of the residents are going to be happy. So maybe that's why we get...
When they're happy, they begin to trust.
Correct.
And in today's environment across the world, there's not a lot of trust. But I can tell you in South Miami that there's more trusting people than before. And let's get back, if we could, to the parks. There's South Miami Park, I think that's the name of it, off of 57th Avenue-ish area. That was a former YMCA property. Do you know how much property that is, more or less? Do you remember?
The size of it?
Yep.
I don't know the exact size.
But it was pretty
it's
nice
big.
piece.
Yeah, it's our biggest park.
All right. So what's happening with that?
Well, happened. So we, through the efforts of, and give full credit of Commissioner Kaye, Corey, and the mayor, they had a vision to see that park, to a grander scale than what it was. And we basically turned it into a state-of-the-art soccer park. And now you have pavilions there, you have the playground. It's a totally different park than what it was before.
It was neglected for 10 or 15 years.
Easily.
Right? Without a problem in it. I used to ride by and we would write about it. And finally I went, oh my God, they've just left it. but somehow somebody's, all right, started doing. When Horace Fallew was mayor or Mary Scott Russell was mayor, that's how long that was a long time ago. That's when all these conversations. Anyway, I'm delighted for that. But let's talk about what are some things that the businesses in South Miami can do to interact more with the city and to make it a better place.
I mean, as anybody else, the most important thing you can do is come to our commission meetings and voice, your concerns, your happiness, what it is you would like to see done for you. One of the big things that I did as a candidate was I went to all the businesses and I spoke with them. I had conversations with them. What is it that you need me to do for you? Because ultimately, those businesses are our lifeblood of our SOMI district. Without them, we just have a bunch of empty storefronts. So it's very important to be there for them.
So let's look at Footworks. I think they've been there for 50 years.
Forever. As long as I've been here.
And the community that they have built is really tremendous. But hats off to the family and to Lori and Hans, who unfortunately passed a few years ago, that they create a whole family that's there. And they have classes that are there. They also they put on the big 5K race that's downtown coming up April, May, right? Actually coming up in a month or so. The dynamics of getting people to South Miami, it's already happening because they park the car, right? They go to the store, they meet their friends, and then they run around, and then they go. Some go to the restaurant, and the restaurants they go around. There's some magic in that when businesses reach out and make that happen. So anyway, my hat's off to them, and the city. I think I got to tell you, I'd recognize them up and down. All right, for the great job that they do, and so next we have your next commission meetings are when they're every 2 weeks ish.
It's basically every other week, so every first and third Tuesday of the month.
So people can go to the website for the city, and they can find out what stuff is going on.
Yeah,
right. They can go. They can find videos from the week before. They can. From the last. Well, actually, for a lot of the commission meetings, and they can actually watch it at home or on their phone. I do it frequently, and it's like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And so there's real transparency with that. I think that's certainly something that's important.
Definitely. And that's important.
But let's talk about we have a city manager who's been there 3 or 4 years, I think, at this point. Tell us the kind of input you get from citizens about the job that the city manager is doing, because it's city manager run, and he gets direction from the commission.
Yeah. Well, from the residents, it's difficult to get, and you don't really get a lot of feedback when it comes to the city manager because, he plays behind the scenes. So they don't really see him a lot unless those who are very involved with the city. Yeah. But from my perspective, I think Chip is great. I think, to be honest, the knowledge that he brings and his experience for such a little city like ours, I mean, we hit a home run in being able to get someone like Chip on board here.
So if some homeowner's got a problem, who do you want them to call or email? What should they do?
My phone's always available, and my email's always available. I've been in office now, 4 months, and I've easily gotten over 100 emails. I get phone calls.
So people can go to the City of South Miami website, look under government, and it has all the commissioners. And you have that 786 number. It rings on you. It's not in the offices, right?
No, it's my personal phone number.
And by the way, I like that. All right, rather than have to go play that loop-de-loop.
Yeah.
Right. And again, City Hall's at what's the address? City Hall, 6130.
6130. Yeah.
Sunset Drive.
Yeah.
The police station is there. Any conversations about? We have a minute and a half left. Tell us what might happen to the City Hall property, which the City Hall is there, the police station's there, next door is the library, and next door there's some other property.
So right now there are ongoing conversations with a development group that will be basically redoing that whole what we call City Hall property. So it would be a new library, a new City Hall, and a new police station. in addition to two residential building units that will go, what I would say, on the backside. And working with all that, we are trying to work in connecting the City Hall property to 62nd Avenue, and hopefully wish list.
We like that. We like that.
Yes, to try to, so not everybody's coming through Sunset. Imagine the traffic that you're going to get. So we're trying to alleviate that as much as possible. So we working with Baptist, trying to do that street, because it runs through that parking lot that they have, and through Gene Willis Park.
Yep.
Wish list. I hope those developers are
you're
watching.
Listening.
Yeah, if you're listening, one of the things that I'm trying to push for is to continue, the street that goes down to Gene Willis, continue it to US 1, where it will be basically a right in and a right out on US 1. That would go tremendously to alleviate the traffic from the new development. But again, we have to work with the underline, and we have to work with FDOT. So it's not going to be an easy process, but like I said, hopefully wish list, we could get that done.
And people can go, again, to the city website and find out all the old conversations, whatever is public information, they'll be able to go there and they can get that.
Correct.
I think the city has a newsletter. I think
Yes,
so.
yes.
And they can sign up for the newsletter there.
Yeah.
And then they can call any of the commissioners or the mayor. And city clerk's been there. I think she's been there for 10 years, 15 years.
Nikki's been there for a long time.
Maybe
And
longer.
she's great too. She's also an asset that we have at the city. Her and Jessica are great running that department.
We are fortunate to have you in office. Again, congratulations.
Thank you very
on doing
much.
that, and keep serving the public. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. And if I may say
Yes.
something really quick, if I
Yes.
may, for the residents, if you want to stay up to date on what's going on everything, our marketing department is doing a great job, not only on our website, but the Instagram, Facebook, next door. If you go and follow the city, you get everything given to you, from the second Saturdays to every single event that the city's doing. You'll get everything there.
Wonderful. Danny Rodriguez, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank you,
us.
Michael.
And we're going to look at that camera right there. Folks, thank you for joining us again. Take care of yourself and your family. Have a good day.